She cried and begged me to stay, but never once admitted what she did was wrong. She's literally cuddling with her coworker at bars while I can't have a 10-minute conversation with a stranger without getting accused of cheating. So here's the thing, Reddit. Sometimes life hands you clarity in the most unexpected ways. I'm Rupert, 30, and until 3 months ago I thought I knew what love looked like. Turns out I was dating a walking contradiction named Jenny, 26, who believed rules applied to everyone except her. Let me paint you a picture of how this all started unraveling. Jenny and I had been together for 2.5 years. She worked as a marketing coordinator at some startup downtown. I'm a software developer working mostly remote. We'd moved in together about 8 months ago, splitting everything down the middle because she insisted on being independent. Fair enough, I respected that. The first red flag should have been how she reacted when my coworker Elena, 25, texted me about a work project on a Saturday evening. Jenny saw the notification pop up on my phone while we were watching Netflix and completely lost it. Started interrogating me about who Elena was, why she was texting me after hours, whether I found her attractive. I showed her the message. It was literally about debugging code for a Monday deadline, but Jenny wasn't having it. She made me promise to keep work conversations strictly professional and only during business hours. Said it was about respect and boundaries in our relationship. I thought it was a bit much but agreed because I loved her and wanted her to feel secure. Little did I know I was signing up for a double-standard master. About a month after the Elena incident, Jenny started talking about this new guy at her office, Nathan, 29. Marketing manager, recently transferred from their Los Angeles branch. According to Jenny, Nathan was hilarious, so smart, really got her creative vision, and had these amazing ideas for campaigns. She brought him up constantly. Nathan thinks this. Nathan suggested that. Nathan and I grabbed coffee to discuss the Johnson project. At first, I didn't think much of it. People make work friends. That's normal. But then the coffee meetings turned into lunch meetings. Lunch meetings turned into after-work drinks. And after-work drinks turned into weekend text exchanges about everything from work to movies to their shared love of hiking. When I mentioned it seemed like she was spending a lot of time with Nathan, she hit me with the independent speech. I'm not one of those girlfriends who needs permission to have male friends. That's toxic masculinity talking. Nathan and I have a professional relationship that extends to friendship. If you can't handle that, maybe you should examine your own insecurities. The irony wasn't lost on me, but I kept quiet. Figured maybe I was being insecure. Jenny had never given me a real reason not to trust her, and I didn't want to be that controlling boyfriend. Biggest mistake of my relationship life. Things escalated quickly after that conversation. Jenny started getting mysterious text notifications at all hours. When I'd glance over, she'd angle her phone away or flip it face down. She'd laugh at messages during dinner, during movies, even during conversations with me. When I asked what was so funny, it was always just something Nathan sent, nothing I'd understand, inside joke from work. The weekend that broke everything was supposed to be our anniversary celebration. 2.5 years together, I'd made reservations at this fancy steakhouse she'd been wanting to try for months. Day of our dinner, Jenny comes home from work and announces she can't make it. Nathan had invited the whole marketing team to some industry networking event downtown. It was too important for her career to miss. I was pissed but tried to be supportive. Rescheduled our dinner for the following weekend. Told her I understood career came first sometimes. She kissed me goodbye, said she'd probably be home late, and left wearing this black dress that was definitely not her usual work attire. More like first date material, if you know what I mean. Around midnight, I was scrolling Instagram when I saw a story from Tyler, one of Jenny's coworkers I followed. It was a group shot from some trendy rooftop bar, all the marketing team celebrating some client win. There was Jenny, pressed up close to Nathan at a high-top table, his arm around her waist, both of them laughing at something on his phone. The caption read "Wild Night with the Dream Team." I screenshot it and went to bed. Figured I'd ask her about it in the morning. When she got home at 2 a.m., I pretended to be asleep. She stumbled around the bedroom trying to be quiet, reeking of alcohol and cologne that definitely wasn't mine. Next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Said the networking event was boring but productive. She made some good connections, and Nathan had helped her land a potential new client. When I showed her Tyler's Instagram story, her whole demeanor changed. She got defensive immediately, said Tyler was stirring up drama. That picture was taken out of context. Nathan was just being friendly because she'd had too much to drink. Then she turned it around on me. Said I was stalking her social media, that it was creepy and controlling to screenshot her coworkers' posts. But here's where it gets really rich, Reddit. 2 days later, I'm at my friend Kevin's bachelor party. Just dinner and drinks. Nothing crazy since Kevin's fiancée Amy requested we keep it low-key. I'm having a beer with the guys when this girl approaches our table. Her name's Christine, 24. She's a friend of the bartender and recognized Kevin from his engagement photos behind the bar. Christine was friendly, asked about the celebration, made small talk with our group for maybe 10 minutes before moving on to other customers. Completely innocent interaction. I didn't even get her number or follow her on social media. But Kevin's cousin Jacob thought it would be funny to post a group photo from the night, and you could see Christine talking to us in the background. Jenny saw that photo and went absolutely nuclear. Started accusing me of flirting with other women behind her back, said I was emotionally cheating, that she couldn't trust me anymore. The hypocrisy was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Here she was, spending every spare moment with Nathan, coming home smelling like his cologne, letting him put his arms around her in public, but I was the cheater because a random girl talked to our table for 10 minutes. That fight lasted 3 days. Jenny gave me the silent treatment, slept on the couch, posted passive-aggressive quotes on her Instagram about trusting your instincts when someone shows you who they really are. She demanded I apologize for disrespecting our relationship and promised to avoid situations where women might approach me. I was so tired of the drama that I actually considered it. Then I had coffee with my sister Rachel, 31, who's been married to her husband Dan for 7 years. I told her everything, showed her the Instagram story of Jenny with Nathan, explained the whole bachelor party situation. Rachel just looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Rupert, are you hearing yourself right now? She's literally cuddling with her coworker at bars while you can't have a 10-minute conversation with a stranger without getting accused of cheating. That's not a relationship, that's a dictatorship with really inconsistent rules. Rachel was right, but I still wasn't ready to admit it. I went home and tried to have a rational conversation with Jenny about our different expectations and boundaries. Big mistake. She turned it into another lecture about my insecurity and jealousy, said she was tired of walking on eggshells around my fragile male ego. The final straw came the next weekend. Jenny announced she was going hiking with Nathan and a few other coworkers on Saturday. Said they were exploring some trails about an hour outside the city, would probably make a day of it. I asked if I could join, maybe meet her work friends properly, but she said it would be weird to bring her boyfriend to a coworker bonding activity. Saturday morning, she left wearing her best hiking outfit, the expensive athletic where she usually saved for special occasions. Told me not to wait up, they might grab dinner after the hike if they weren't too tired. I spent the day cleaning our apartment and catching up on work projects, trying not to think about what she was really doing. Around 8 p.m., I got a text from Jenny saying they decided to stay overnight since it was getting dark and some of the group had been drinking. Said she'd booked a motel room with her female coworkers and would be back Sunday evening. Seemed reasonable enough, safety first and all that. But then Sunday morning happened. I was making breakfast when Jenny's friend Claire, 27, called me. She was supposed to meet Jenny for brunch to discuss Claire's wedding planning. Jenny was going to be her maid of honor. Claire asked if Jenny was still feeling sick from her hiking trip hangover. I was confused. Told Claire that Jenny had stayed overnight at some motel after hiking with coworkers. Claire got quiet for a second, then said she'd seen Nathan's Instagram story from Saturday night. He'd posted from some romantic mountain resort 2 hours away, tagged his location, and captioned it "perfect weekend getaway with the perfect hiking partner." Claire screenshot it and sent it to me. There was Nathan at some upscale resort restaurant, candlelit table for two, champagne glasses, the works. In the background, barely visible but definitely identifiable, was Jenny in the same hiking outfit she'd left in that morning. She was laughing at something Nathan was saying, looking at him the way she used to look at me. I sat in my kitchen staring at that screenshot for probably 20 minutes. All the pieces finally clicked into place. The mysterious texts, the defensive behavior, the double standards about boundaries and friendships. Jenny wasn't just emotionally cheating with Nathan, she'd been planning romantic getaways while living in my apartment and sleeping in my bed. When she came home Sunday evening, I was waiting with a simple question. How was your motel room with the female co-workers? She launched into this elaborate story about how tired everyone was, how they'd grabbed fast food and gone straight to sleep. Said the hiking was amazing, Nathan was such a good group leader, really knew the best trails. I showed her Claire's screenshot. Watched her face go through about 5 different emotions in 10 seconds. First confusion, then recognition, then panic, then anger, then this weird defiant look like she'd been caught but wasn't sorry about it. She tried to explain it away. Said the group had decided to upgrade their accommodations. Nathan had found a good deal on rooms at the resort. It wasn't what it looked like in the photo. But I was done listening to lies. Asked her straight up if she was having an affair with Nathan. Her answer told me everything I needed to know. Instead of denying it, instead of reassuring me, instead of showing any remorse, she got angry at me for questioning her. Said I was being paranoid and controlling, that she was allowed to have friendships, that just because Nathan happened to be attractive didn't mean anything was happening. Notice she didn't actually deny the affair. Just got mad at me for asking about it. I told her we were done. Not just taking a break, not working through trust issues, completely finished. She could pack her stuff and move out by the end of the week. Jenny went from defensive to desperate in about 30 seconds. Started crying, saying she loved me, that Nathan was just a friend, that I was throwing away 2.5 years over nothing. But here's the thing that really sealed it for me, Reddit. Even while she was begging me not to leave, even while she was crying and promising to cut contact with Nathan, she still couldn't admit she'd done anything wrong. Kept insisting that having male friends wasn't cheating, that I was overreacting to innocent interactions. She moved out the following weekend. Took her half of everything, left me her key, and gave me one final lecture about how I'd regret losing someone who loved me as much as she did. Said I'd realize someday that I'd let my insecurity destroy the best relationship I'd ever have. The aftermath was actually worse than the breakup itself. Jenny immediately started posting on social media about toxic relationships and emotional abuse. Shared articles about controlling partners and red flags in dating. Made herself out to be the victim of my unreasonable jealousy and possessiveness. Her friends ate it up. Started commenting supportive messages about her strength and resilience. How she deserved better than someone who didn't trust her. A few of them even unfriended me on social media. I guess buying into her version of events completely. But the truth has a way of coming out eventually. About 2 weeks after Jenny moved out, she posted a picture on Instagram. It was her and Nathan at some fancy restaurant downtown, holding hands across the table, captioned "Finally free to be happy with someone who accepts me for who I am." The comments section was brutal. Friends who'd been supporting her suddenly started asking questions. If Nathan was just a coworker friend, why were they holding hands? If I was controlling and abusive, why was she immediately dating the guy I'd been worried about? Claire, bless her heart, commented directly on the photo. Funny how you were just friends when you were lying to Rupert about your hiking trip 2 weeks ago. The timing here is really interesting, Jess. Jenny deleted Claire's comment and blocked her, but several other people had already seen it and started putting pieces together. Her support network crumbled pretty quickly once people realized she'd been cheating and lying about it. I found all this out through Kevin, who'd remained friends with both of us and was getting updates from mutual friends. I wasn't stalking Jenny's social media. I'd blocked her on everything the day she moved out. But Kevin thought I should know that people were starting to see through her victim act. Meanwhile, I was focusing on rebuilding my life. Took up rock climbing at a local gym, started hanging out with friends I'd neglected during my relationship with Jenny, threw myself into work projects that actually excited me. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. That's when I met Zoe, 26. She was belaying for her friend at the climbing gym when her friend got injured during a rout. Nothing serious, just twisted her ankle, but she needed help getting down and to her car. I was nearby and offered to assist, help them get situated, made sure her friend was okay before they left. Zoe thanked me and we ended up talking for a few minutes about climbing, the gym, how long we'd each been coming there. She was funny, down to earth, had this infectious laugh that made me smile without even realizing it. We exchanged numbers and agreed to climb together sometime since we were both there regularly. What struck me most about Zoe was how different she was from Jenny. When she texted me, it was direct and honest. No games, no hidden meanings, no analyzing every word for deeper. When we made plans, she kept them. When she said something, she meant it. Our first real date was coffee after a climbing session. We talked for 3 hours about everything from work to travel to family to goals. Zoe was genuinely interested in what I had to say, asked thoughtful questions, shared stories about her own life without making everything about her. She worked as a veterinary technician at an animal clinic across town, had her own apartment, her own car, her own savings account. She wasn't looking for someone to take care of her or solve her problems. She wanted a partner to share experiences with, not a provider to fund her lifestyle. When I eventually told her about Jenny and the whole cheating situation, Zoe's response was perfect. She didn't bash my ex, didn't make it about herself, didn't try to prove she was better. Just said it sounded like I'd dodged a bullet and she was glad I was in a better place now. We've been together for 2 months now and the difference is night and day. Zoe has male friends from work, from her climbing group, from college. She talks about them openly, includes me in group activities, never makes me feel like I'm competing for her attention. When they text her, she answers in front of me without hiding her phone or acting secretive. More importantly, she respects the same boundaries she expects from me. When we're together, she's present. When she's out with friends, she keeps me updated without being asked. She doesn't flirt with other guys then call me insecure for noticing. She treats our relationship like a partnership, not a power struggle. Last weekend, we ran into Jenny and Nathan at a farmer's market downtown. It was awkward but illuminating. Jenny looked shocked to see me with someone else, especially someone who was clearly happy and comfortable. She kept staring at Zoe, probably trying to figure out what made her different or special. Nathan seemed uncomfortable, kept trying to steer Jenny away from us, but she was determined to make some kind of scene. She approached us while Zoe was buying flowers, made a big show of being friendly and mature about running into her ex. Told me she hoped I was doing well, that she'd learned a lot from our relationship, that she wished me happiness even though things hadn't worked out between us. The whole performance was clearly for Zoe's benefit, trying to make herself look like the bigger person. When Zoe came back with her flowers, Jenny introduced herself as my ex-girlfriend, said she'd heard so much about Zoe and was glad to finally meet her. Zoe was polite but didn't engage beyond basic pleasantries. Clearly sensed the tension and didn't want to get drawn into drama. As we were leaving, Jenny called after me. Said she hoped I appreciated what I had now, that some people were just better at hiding their true selves. It was obviously a dig at Zoe, implying that she was fake or manipulative compared to Jenny's authentic honesty. Zoe didn't take the bait. Just squeezed my hand and kept walking. Later, when I asked if Jenny's comment bothered her, Zoe just laughed. Said it was obvious Jenny was still hung up on our relationship and probably feeling insecure about seeing me happy with someone else. That's when I knew I'd found something real with Zoe. She didn't need to compete with my ex or prove she was better. She was confident enough in herself and our relationship to let Jenny's pettiness roll right off her back. I heard through Kevin that Jenny and Nathan's relationship imploded about a month after they went public. Turns out Nathan had a pattern of pursuing women who were already in relationships, then losing interest once they were available. He'd apparently started flirting with another taken coworker while still dating Jenny. The irony was beautiful. Jenny, who'd accused me of being controlling and paranoid, found herself in the exact position I'd been in with her. Watching Nathan text other women, make excuses for staying late at work, come home smelling like perfume that wasn't hers. According to mutual friends, she tried to confront him about it, but he used her own playbook against her. Told her she was being insecure and jealous, that he was allowed to have female friends, that her controlling behavior was pushing him away. When she finally caught him cheating red-handed, he broke up with her via text message. Said she'd become too needy and possessive, that he needed someone who trusted him and respected his independence. Left her with a lease she couldn't afford and a social circle that had watched the whole drama unfold. She tried reaching out to me a few weeks ago. Got my number from someone and sent a long text about how she'd made mistakes, learned from her experiences, and hoped we could at least be friends. Said she understood now how her behavior had hurt me and wanted to make amends. I didn't respond. Not out of anger or spite, but because I genuinely had nothing to say to her. That chapter of my life was closed, filed away under lessons learned and mistakes not to repeat. Engaging with Jenny would only open doors I'd worked hard to close. Zoe knew about the text because I showed her. Not because I felt obligated to, but because that's how healthy relationships work. You share things that might affect your partner, you communicate openly, you don't keep secrets that could cause problems later. Her response was typically Zoe. Said she understood if I wanted to respond, that she trusted my judgment either way, but reminded me that I didn't owe Jenny anything just because she'd finally realized what she'd lost. That's the difference between Jenny and Zoe in a nutshell. Jenny always made everything about her needs, her feelings, her version of events. Zoe considers how situations affect both of us, respects my autonomy while offering her perspective, and trusts me to make decisions that are best for our relationship. Looking back, I can see how Jenny's double standards were just symptoms of a deeper problem. She didn't see me as an equal partner in our relationship. I was more like a supporting character in her personal story, there to provide stability and resources while she pursued whatever made her feel good in the moment. The rules she imposed on me, the boundaries she insisted on, the way she reacted to perceived threats, it was all about controlling the relationship dynamic to suit her needs. When I started questioning that dynamic, when I stopped accepting her explanations and excuses, the whole thing fell apart. I'm grateful it happened when it did, honestly. 2.5 years was long enough to learn what I didn't want in a partner, but not so long that I wasted my prime years on someone who didn't respect me. If Jenny hadn't been so obvious about her cheating, I might have stayed longer, tried harder, made more excuses for behavior that was inexcusable. These days, I wake up next to someone who chooses to be with me every day, not someone who stays because it's comfortable or convenient. Zoe and I are planning a camping trip next month, talking about getting a dog together, discussing what we want our future to look like. It's the kind of relationship I didn't even know I wanted until I had it. Built on mutual respect, honest communication, and genuine affection rather than drama, manipulation, and walking on eggshells. To anyone reading this who recognizes their own relationship in my story with Jenny, I'll tell you what my sister Rachel told me. You deserve better than double standards and emotional manipulation. You deserve someone who applies the same rules to themselves that they expect from you. Don't stay with someone because you're afraid of being alone or starting over. Don't make excuses for behavior you wouldn't accept from a friend. Don't let anyone convince you that your reasonable expectations are actually controlling demands. Jenny taught me what love isn't. Zoe is teaching me what it actually is. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is having someone show you exactly why they're wrong for you, so you can recognize what right looks like when it comes along. The double standards, the hypocrisy, the victim playing when consequences caught up with choices, all of it was Jenny showing me who she really was. I'm just glad I finally believed her and walked away before wasting any more time on someone who saw relationships as games to be won rather than partnerships to be cherished. Reddit, if you take anything from this story, let it be this. When someone shows you who they are through their actions, believe them. Don't wait for them to change. Don't make excuses for their behavior. Don't hope they'll suddenly develop empathy and self-awareness. Find someone whose words match their actions, whose boundaries apply equally to both of you, who treats you like a partner rather than a possession. Trust me, the difference will change your entire perspective on what relationships can be.